Warning. The Maverick Marketer is not for the soft, timid, or faint-hearted. If you need permission or seek approval from your mother, spouse, mates in the pub, or anyone else for that matter, this really isn't for you. If any of what you've heard puts you off in the slightest, I advise you not to listen any further. You've been warned. Prepare yourself for the no bullshit, zero fluff. Quick, dirty, and uncensored secrets for any serious coach, trainer, consultant, or speaker who wants to earn more money with less work and fewer headaches. Without having to kiss ass or bend over backwards to please anyone. He's a relentless and fearless renegade who will stop at nothing to reveal the harsh, unforgiving, and brutal truth about what it really takes to succeed in this business. He's a guy people love to hate and hate to love. It's your host, Drew Edwards. The Maverick Marketer is unleashed.
Well, hello, it is Drew Edwards here from EliteClientAttraction.com and MaverickMarketerUnleashed.com, and welcome to another episode of the Maverick Marketer Unleashed podcast. Remember, if you enjoy the show, remember to subscribe via iTunes and leave a review as well. Let us know what you think. And in today's episode, I'm going to be talking about a subject that is something that I've been seeing recently from a lot of coaches, trainers and consultants in the marketplace. It's something that I see every year actually, and this year's really no different. But what we're going to talk about today is, well, first let me sort of give you the backstory. I'm sure that you have heard of Albert Einstein before today, and I'm sure you're well aware of who he is, but just in case you haven't and you're completely alien to who Einstein is, Einstein was a German-born physicist who developed the general theory of relativity, among other feats, but that's probably sort of one of the things that he's most known for. He's considered the most influential physicist of the 20th century. I mean, he's a very smart guy, or was a very smart guy. Anyway, the reason that I bring him up today is because he's widely credited with the saying that's going to really sort of form the backbone of this podcast today. So he's widely credited with saying the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So I'm going to repeat that. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And I know that I've mentioned this before in emails. I've probably talked about it in videos as well. And if you sort of work with me one-on-one, it's probably something that I've touched on during coaching calls as well. There's actually sort of no clear evidence that Einstein actually made that statement, but nevertheless, it's a very, very good quote. It's a very sort of true, meaningful quote. And with very few exceptions, most people would agree that it means it makes perfect sense. Most people would agree that quote makes perfect sense. I mean, if you think about it, if something didn't get you the results that you wanted the first time around, why would you do exactly the same thing on your second attempt, third attempt, fourth attempt, and expect different results? It really doesn't make sense. But it's something that we all do, even me. It's something that we all do to some level. And if people today actually defined that as insanity, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, we'd all be classed as insane. So, I mean, the reason I bring this up, I want to sort of directly attribute this back to your business. Now, again, as I mentioned before, this is something that I see a lot happening at the start of the year, especially as we sort of come towards the end of January, but it's something that you can really apply to the all year. And what I'm seeing a lot is a lot of the coaches, trainers and consultants that I'm speaking to at the moment, have spoken to in the past, they probably sat down at the end of the year, or probably end of 2015 actually, and thought, I would like to grow my business over the next 12 months. I want to do something to get dramatic results. I want to increase the number of clients I have. I want to increase my profits. I want to get more business revenue, more sales, all of the stuff that sort of are common goals for sort of the start of the year. And when you look back at how their 2016 went, so we're in 2017 now, so when you look back at how their last year went, a lot of the time, they end up in the exact same place. They end up in the exact same situation they were the previous year, with seeing very little or no growth at all. And even in some cases, you actually see their business decline.
You're listening to Maverick Marketer Unleashed podcast. For show notes, additional resources, and podcast updates, head over to www.maverickmarketerunleashed.com.
And the reason for this is, very simply, because they do the exact same things that they did in the previous year. They did the exact same thing and expected different results. And they probably done it the year before that and the year before that as well. So they spent their days, weeks and months doing the same things and expecting different results. As I said before, as Einstein would say, or maybe would say, it's insane. But it's a pattern that we all get sort of trapped in from time to time. I mean, I know even myself, I can find myself sometimes, even though at the beginning of January everyone sets goals, even though you may have every intention of doing things differently, it's very difficult when you sort of built up that pattern, when you've got that habit sort of ingrained in your system and your way of doing things. It's very difficult to break. So even though at the start of the year or even throughout the year we may sit down and say, like, here's what I'm going to do differently, here are my new goals, here's the actions that I'm going to take that's different from last year or the year before that's going to get me the results I want, because we sort of formed habits very easily. It's very easy to quickly slip back into the old way of doing things. I'm seeing that a lot, especially even with my clients coming towards the end of January. I mean, they all sort of set really big goals for the year ahead, and they all probably change their behaviour at the beginning of January, but come towards the end, they fall back into old habits. So I just want to make this podcast to make sure you're not doing the same thing, or if you are doing it, that you're aware of it and you snap out of the old cycle and do something different in 2017, do something different in the year ahead. So, again, it got me thinking, if I had to give you just a handful of things, like 3 things to do differently in 2017 to get better results in your coaching, training, or consultancy practice over the year ahead, what would it be? And the first thing would be to raise the prices in your business. And again, for all of these 3 things, we could spend a whole session talking about them individually, talking about why they're important, talking about how to do it. But I'm just going to leave you with that. Raise your prices. You'll find it's one of the quickest, easiest and fastest ways to increase your business profits. When you think about this, if you could get paid more for the work you're doing right now, put very simply, if you could get paid more for the work you're doing right now, you'd obviously be in a lot better situation. So raising your prices is one of the quickest ways to do it. It's something that I often get a lot of people are reluctant to do it. People give me reasons why they can't do it, why their clients won't pay a certain price, why it's difficult for them to do it. And I get it is difficult, but if you haven't tested a price increase recently, and even if you have and didn't see any sort of drop off in sales, then it's something that you should be doing. It's one of the things that I would always recommend my clients to do. Test a small price increase and then keep increasing it really until it gets to the point where it's not working anymore. But what you'll find is in every business, they have what we call price elasticity, where probably all of us, including myself, aren't charging enough for the services that we offer. So number one is to do a price increase. The second thing is, and this goes along with the price increases, go after only the top 20% of customers in your industry and the top 20% of clients and customers in your industry. And this sort of goes hand in hand with raising your prices. If you heard me say raise your prices and thought that your clients won't pay a higher fee, it's probably because you're going for the lower end of the market. So a shift that I would recommend you make is going for the top end of the market, going for the top 20% of clients where price isn't as much of an issue. And the last thing is I'm going to show you today is to be relentless with your follow-up. Again, I'm seeing this so often that people aren't following up with potential leads, potential clients often enough. So what happens is when that client is ready to buy, you're not the first person they think of and end up buying from somebody else or not buying at all. So your goal of marketing, really, put very simply, is to be top of mind for your ideal clients. Be the first person they think of when they're ready to buy the service that you offer. All right, so that's all I'm going to leave you with today. Remember, if you've enjoyed the show, subscribe via iTunes. Remember, share it with any coaches, trainers, and consultants that you know in the industry that could benefit. We're back next week with a fresh new episode. I will speak with you soon. Until then, take care, take action, be relentless.
www.mavericmarketerunleashed.com.